Hi, I'm Sandy, and this is Your Friend in Food, a podcast about the stories behind the recipes and the people who share them. Today's guest is extra special. It's someone who brings elegance, heart, and approachability to every dish she shares. Giangi Townsend, the voice and home cook behind Giangi's Kitchen. She's built a community around recipes that are joyful, flavorful, and always within reach. But behind the blog is a story about change, resilience, and the quiet ways food helps us find our way forward. In this episode, Giangi and I talk about growing up around French and Italian cooking, reinventing yourself through food, and the unexpected power of the kitchen to help us reconnect with ourselves. So grab a cup of something warm, pull up a chair. Let's get into it. I'm so excited to be here with Giangi from Giangi's Kitchen. Giangi, welcome to Your Friend in Food. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you, Sandy, for having me. This is so much fun. I was really looking forward to this, and I cannot wait for the fun that you're gonna put ahead of us. So I'm doing great.
Oh, great. Where are you based at?
I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona, so it's nice and warm, 80 degrees. The sun is shining. Got a little bit of wind, but it's actually, to our standard, a little cold at the moment. Which I know I don't want to hear about it, but yes.
So, from the moment I met you, there's so much energy just radiating off of you. You, like so many people that I've met, your stories are just so interesting besides the work that you do. So I wanted to, when I was thinking about who I wanted to talk to next, your name was really at the top of my list because I just want to know so much more about you as a person. And everything that brings us together is really about the food that we
Yes.
share. So, Giangi, I wanted to ask you just to start off, what's a food story that from your life that really makes you smile, that makes you feel something? Is there a food memory that you have that, you can kick things off today with?
Oh my gosh, I have so many of them because I come as with a French dad and Italian mom. The background of culinary's love, it's been instilled in me ever since I was a kid.
Wow.
Although I must backtrack a little bit. I did not cook when I was a kid. I refused to cook when I was a kid. My dad wanted me to learn how to cook, and I burned water with the pan in it to prove a point that I will not cook. And to this day, well, my dad passed on, unfortunately, but everybody remembers that because it was the battle of the wits between me and my dad. So I never cooked until I was in my late 20, which is funny. But I have so many fond memory of my mother, my grandmother, my dad, my aunts cooking, and to this day, what my favorites are. I know I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here, but yes, I have quite a few memories.
So that kind of combination of a French and Italian background, what did that look like growing up? What are some of the things that did your mom and dad have a signature dish, or what were some of your favorites?
Oh my goodness. My mom lived in Italy, so she did not live with us. So I was raised in Paris with my dad. So my dad, typical French, we had potatoes as often as we possibly can and in every direction we possibly can. We always had salad. There was never a meal without a salad. We always had dessert. We always had cheese. It was just like an entree, the main dish, a salad, cheese, and then fruit or dessert. That was on the French side. On the Italian side, it's a little bit different. Starts with pasta and then it goes to a protein, which is meat, and then it goes to fruit. Most likely, my grandmother would just like the apple peeler; she will pass it around. So there was really two different cooking per se, and so there was fun. But I was only in Italy during the summertime. I never lived there, so I was only there during the summertime. So I enjoyed the fresh fish because we had a place at the beach. And so we had the fishermen coming up at 5 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock or whatever time it was early. So they will go pick up fish, and I'm a fish person, and they will bring fish at the house and just flap all over the sink. And you should have seen those things. And I have a fond memory of mussels eating 5 kilos of it all by myself and enjoying every bite of it. So yes, it was really so different. They're like literally so opposite and yes, so wonderful in them. My grandmother would just admired her because she never cooked out of a cookbook. She would taste food and able to dissect and literally write down every single thing that she tasted and then go back in her kitchen and reproduce it. She has never written a recipe, but she just had that kind of taste buds to be able to tell. My mom was excellent cook also. Sometimes she had some cookbook help, but she was a very good cook as well. And my dad was just like, no cookbook, just having a ball. Compared to all the cookbooks that I have, it's funny.
Yeah, something that you said I could totally resonate with because I consider myself a foodie, but I didn't start cooking really until my 20s as well. And I wonder if it's for a similar reason. When I was growing up, my family's from the Caribbean, they're from Haiti, and my mom always cooked and she worked as well. What was the reason that you didn't really cook until you were your 20s? Is it because you had two powerhouse cooks in the home, or was there another reason?
I wasn't only that because I think I was stuck doing all the chores that my mother was supposed to do, and let's face it. And I did not want to get stuck doing one more chore that did not belong to me. I was 10, 12 years old, and I'm sorry, cooking a meal, coming home for going to school until 5:30 in the afternoon, coming home and cooking a meal, that was not on my card. And then I have homework. And it was more of a battle of the wits. It's like, I shall not take this responsibility, which is weird because when my dad left for work or whatnot, I always cooked. But it was just because it was for my brother and I. I just refused to have one more things put on top of me. And then with the three of them being excellent cook, God forbid I did something wrong.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, that so it's like that double, I don't want that added responsibility. And at the same time, it's like the anxiety of if I do it wrong, I'm never going to hear the end of it, the kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So what was the transition like? So when you went from I don't really cook that all to now I'm starting to cook, what was one of the first things you made that kind of brought you into that whole cooking space?
I have to back up. I did not cook, but I did bake. When I was a kid, I did bake. That was something that I actually enjoyed doing, and it was like a channel. And neither my dad, my grandmother a little bit, but my mom were good at it. So that's something that I did, but it was all my time. In France, we still had home ec, so we learned how to make crepes. So I would do dessert. Oh, dessert, I would do. There was no tomorrow. I have an extremely pronounced and wonderful sweet tooth. And if it was up to me, I will start dinner with dessert and then move.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I'm
it's
into
like,
that.
it was actually a pivotal time in my life. My grandmother passed away and she pretty much raised me and she was the closest things to me. So I took a year off completely and I decided that year that I was going between doing ceramics, working on the wheel, doing gardening. I was going to self-teach how to cook. And so I did. I just grabbed recipe books and of course, excuse me, I found out when some cookbooks were not good and some good and some are not. And some of them are very great cookbook, but when you don't know how to cook, so I just went from there and I started picking up a recipe and started doing one at a time, inviting my friends over and see if they liked it. And of course, every other weekend I had a household full of people because, hey, I'm enjoying this. But it was on my own term and what I wanted to do. And picking recipe that I remember from growing up and I enjoy during my travels. So the flavors are very vivid in my mouth. So I could just really say this is the closest to reality. This does not even belong on a cookbook because it's not a real French or Italian recipe.
Yeah, that's awesome because, and again, I feel like I can relate to this as well. Even though you weren't cooking a lot, you knew what things were supposed to taste like.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that is such a good compass for the place you want to reach to because you can taste something, you're like, oh no, that's not quite right. But then you went from I'm cooking for myself or for my family. And then you started publishing recipes online. How did that transition happen?
Oh gosh, it's actually a very funny story. I have two wonderful friends, so they're like sisters, and we used to have our kids are all the same age, so we used to spend so much time together. And every night, okay, what's for dinner tonight? What's for dinner tonight? What are we making? What are you making? Because I actually cook every night for dinner. Going out to a restaurant is a wonderful treat. So one day I sat there and I said, I'm going to just start a blog just for the two of you. So you guys could see what I did. Now, when I started blogging 15 years ago, it's not like now. It was a journal. And see that my
Right.
husband was gone all the time. So it was a journal between my son and I and what we had that night. And I would actually put a whole menu. And we didn't have a recipe card. So it was just boom, easy peasy, done. No SEO and all that stuff. So that's how I started. And next
Wow.
thing I'm meeting people and next thing you know the story.
Yeah.
But that's how it really started. It was that simple. And the title, the tagline was our nightly dinner because it was really our nightly
Right.
dinner. I got my son involved. And also because I did not want to become a little picky eater, I will make him taste everything. And whatever his critique was, it would go on the blog. That's how all this started.
Yeah.
Just a fun little
That's,
journey.
I hear that a lot with people. It started just as a way to digitize their memories or digitize their ideas for cooking. That's many people who have been doing it for 10, 12 plus years. Because
Yeah.
back then it was such a new platform, something that was just easily shareable with friends, just between friends and communities.
It was also another part. The job that I had was we own a company, so it was operations and I had logistics. And I
Mhm.
think it just, there was nothing now. Everything was 3 to 4 weeks. And I wanted immediate gratification. So it was my way of channeling all this like accounting, this and that and the other into something very positive. And now, instant gratification now.
And I'm sure, because I also have a finance background as well, I'm sure there's some transferable skills in the attention to detail and running a blog. But what started off as something just that was supposed to be just shared between friends and family slowly turned into something more. So, Giangi, when did you realize that your content was connecting with people? What was that moment
Oh,
like?
oh my gosh, there's so many little moments. One of them is I met, okay, we tell our kids, do not talk to strangers. First thing I did, I met this fabulous chef online. I mean, it's insane. Actually, two, which we're still friends today. And one of them was a chef in Europe. And I posted something. She loved it. And we started a conversation. Next thing you know, we have this fabulous friendship. And she even invited me to her place in Cannes. And she
Ooh.
just pretty much gave me a piece of paper and said, okay, you're teaching a class today. And I'm like, blah, what? So that, and of course, another chef that I met on Google Plus way back when, as Google Plus has been gone for years. And so it was just, that was like two moments, somewhere in Europe was paying attention to you. And I went to the Burj Al Arab Hotel for dinner in Dubai and I wrote a post about it. Next thing you know, I received an email from them. We're talking Dubai here. I'm in Phoenix.
Mhm.
And they said, say, hey, we love your post. Thank you so very much for your kind review, which it wasn't a review, it was just me talking about it. And they've been following me since. There was like little things like that. And I
Wow.
think the one who really clinched to me was when I got a note from the Food Network and they sent a little note through Instagram. And I went, oh, yeah, this is a spam. I said, okay, if you really want to contact me, I'm available on Monday from 1 to 2. So I'm like, okay. At 1:05, I got a phone call and it was the Food Network. They were going to do a program that was going to have Guy Fieri at my house. And so I know, right? And I was going around with my phone, showing all the plugs, showing my dog, showing the backyard because they were going to be for 3 days in my house. And I'm like, this is funny. I was like, and of course,
Wow.
unfortunately, COVID hit. And so they would not do that
Mm.
anymore. And when COVID for a little bit more free, they invited me to do a show at the Triple G, really a pinch me
Absolutely.
moment type of things. Like they found me with a sea of bloggers and recipe and foodies and whatnot out there, just coming to me. It was like, wow. So I was just really fascinated by that.
That's amazing, Giangi.
Eh?
That's really
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. I think that there's a difference between going from creating recipes just for yourself and your friends and family, and then trying it out with the public and doing the SEO and getting comments here or there, and then getting in touch with such a large media pop culture platform that's the ultimate recognition of your content.
Thank you.
You have such a beautiful background in coming from Europe. And how do you balance in your recipes? Because I always follow your recipes. I'm always looking for inspiration there too. But how do you balance honoring your tradition with adding your own twist to a dish, especially coming from a French and Italian background? How do you make that balance?
Simple ingredient, simple. People think of French cooking being this extremely elaborate, and it is. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it down. There is an extremely beautiful technique about French cooking. There is an extremely elaborate way of cooking, but there's also people at home who cook every day. And therefore, I'm trying to bring that to the platter, not the escoffier, all the big name and Bocuse and all those. They're great chef, but they're also majestic chef, which Michelin star chef. But the basic of people don't cook that way. We're
Right.
trying to figure out how to put a meal on the table between 30 minutes. And that's when I started my blog, because I was a working mom like everyone else is. I wanted to put food on the table before my kid went to the pantry and grabbed something that he was not supposed to eat because he was starving. So it's like I just was able to combine, and I'm trying my best to combine. And I noticed there was also a wave in Europe going through because my brother sends me a book and I still get French magazine on how to make very easy meals, not this intricate chemist thing, but just easy. How can we make a fabulous meal, keeping it within a budget, but also keeping the taste and the flavors there? And so I really get French magazines and I get French, Italian magazine and cookbook just to see how the new wave is out. And I see
Yeah.
the simplicity. It's not this complicated thing that people think. In the 80s, everything was so complicated. Now it's not. Then there was the fusion of the 90s, and that's gone too. So it's like, let's face it, 45% of the population is a single family. So you got the mom and the dad and the grandparents trying to put meal on the table. And what do? You're going to sit there after a whole day of work and put another 2 hours in? No, that's why I fit in the very small, but yet balanced. Like we need to have a real meal where kids can also enjoy it and we can too.
Yeah, one thing I love about you, and when we first met and we were talking about LinkedIn strategy or something, and you are somebody that posts on LinkedIn regularly, and I asked you why. And the thing that you said stays with me till this day. You said, because business people got to eat too. And it's so true. They want to be inspired. They don't want to eat the bland things, the same bland things all the time. And really being able to take what your background and translating that in something that's more approachable for the everyday home cook, I think is really amazing. So, what's one recipe that you posted that carries more meaning to you than people may realize? What's a recipe that really has a lot of meaning for you?
Oh my gosh, I have actually more than one. I have three. One of them is fascinating. Is the most simple recipe you will ever have is roasted rosemary potatoes. And the reason I'm saying this is because when we were little, we once in a while spent the holiday like Easter or Christmas down to my grandmother's house in Italy. So one year she had the whole thing and everybody was at the same time. So everybody went through it. And so my aunt will prepare this fabulous potato with rosemary. And literally it's potato, rosemary, salt, and oil. Put it in the oven, and they were the best potato you ever had. Crispy on the bottom, soft on the top, and the middle. It's just, and so that was one of them. And they always brought memory. And every time I make it, I remember my aunt. They all knew I couldn't cook. My life depended on it. Really, they did. So when I asked them, I said, "Can you show me how to make this?" You should have seen the puzzle. What? They didn't have it. They weren't expecting me like to prepare everything, but they were puzzled. They shared the recipe with me. Yeah, this is the way I do it because they're just very confident in their cooking. Now, and so
Right.
they taught me how to do it. They showed me how to do it. And it has stuck with me. So I have me making it ever since. Plus, I love potatoes. It was very simple. Then there is rice milk rice. My grandmother used to make that. It was her comfort food. And
Wow.
so was my dad. They both loved it. And so one would put a little bit of cinnamon, the other one put a little bit of vanilla. And so that was my food. And I used to be able to make when I was a kid. And then there was another dessert that I made constantly. It was kepgal, which is a dish that is a dessert, which is 4 quarters translated. And it's literally sugar, flour, eggs, butter. And it's equal amount,
Oh,
literally equal amount of it. I used to make that when I was a kid. I still make that. I made some variation to it as I growing up. But so those are literally my three, my go-to.
oh, thanks so much for sharing that. And
You're welcome.
I think the recipes that really resonate with us and it brings back a lot of sensory memories are the ones that are
Mhm.
tied with those formidable years of our lives. So, thinking about this food story and your life, has food ever helped you navigate change or reinvention in your life in some way?
Yes, as a matter of fact, to me, food is not just putting something on the table, but it's just this soul filling. It's hard to describe it. When I get into my kitchen and I open my refrigerator, I always try to find ways of how can I make something with what I have on my refrigerator? How can I be creative? It is my way of literally detaching myself from today's life and spending 30 minutes just me. And I'm extremely fortunate. I have one of those wolf hood. I have a stove with a hood, which is very loud. And literally, if I could put myself, I probably could expire by it. And I love it because it blacks everything out. And it's literally my time of me decompressing from work, creating something delicious or good. Not everything's delicious. Sometimes I have my little hoops too. And then sitting down with my family and having dinner at the dining room table, not the kitchen counter, the dining room. And so to me, it's always has been this creative transition between the work that I've done and to the evening. And it's always been, but it's also my time to need to reflect on things. Literally, nobody really can talk to me when I cook, and it's funny. They talk, but nothing's happening further than that because it's my time to decompress. Some people pray, some people read, some people jog. I cook. I sit down and I cook. I'm enjoying that part. I'm like, am I going to do this? Yeah. So that's my thing. That's my decompression.
I could see how that having that place and space and time, how that helps as we navigate all the different challenges that we have in our lives and what keeps you going. And you have such a positive spirit, but that just
Yeah.
means now I know what it is. You have cooking to check in with yourself, to, like you said, decompress and maybe have that place of rest and just clarity. And maybe you come out after cooking a meal, you come out on the other side with more clarity or just more energy. So I think that's great that you use such a functional skill to heal yourself in those moments. While you're cooking, have there been any unexpected parts of yourself that you've discovered through cooking and blogging?
Blogging is a challenge of writing. When I was a kid, let's go back. I always wanted to be a writer and a photographer, but I should have been more specific on what. Yeah. So I enjoyed the writing part of it. And I got an advice when I first started my journey. Somebody told me, write has a recipe has a person has ever entered the kitchen, doesn't know anything about it. So I always write all my recipe with that concept. And also because a lot of the people who follow my blog, also English is not their first language. Therefore, I always try to make it very simplistic, even to the point somebody complained to me, "Do what you write like a seventh grader?" I'm like, yes. For the simple fact is because there's people in parts of the country, the world, who English may just
Mhm.
is not their first language, and also because I want them to be able to see it. So the cooking part of it all, I can push myself a little further out there. I can be a little bit more innovative, and I can also experiment. I literally enjoy experimenting. So I take the stick and then I play each time with a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, just to see. So that's the experimental part. That's a creative part of it. On the blogging side of it, it's like, how far can I push myself to write and be concise, be explicit? If somebody's going to read my blog, are they going to understand what I'm talking about? Or without even looking at the picture, are they going to be able to really get the thing? So those are the two things that I push. And I love photography, so I take a lot more pictures than I probably should. I post a lot more pictures than I probably should. When somebody sends you a picture of their dish and your dish are the same, somebody's out there understood what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love what you said about making your content simple for those who English isn't their first language. Obviously, we can relate to that, having to learn different languages, or my parents having to immigrate into America. And there's a lot of people who are in
Mhm.
that situation. And so that's about being inclusive. That's about really setting people up for success as well. Good for you for even thinking on that level and thinking
Well,
and wanting to set people up for great meals.
Sandy, English is my third language. I took 8 years of English and I despised it with a passion because I had a terrible teacher. I had an awful teacher. He will only teach us how to write, not speak. My fight with them, like, excuse me, but if I find myself somewhere where I need help, I'm not going to sit there and go, excuse me, do you have a piece of paper? I'm going to write. I'm going to scream from the top of my lung if I need help. So it was always this battlefield. I was taking Spanish, loved it. I was fluent in Spanish in 2 years, more than 8 years. And of course, I always say, hey, I would never move somewhere where I speak English anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. Good old French me. Of course, first thing I did, I moved to the United States, married, and I've been here 43 years. And I always have that because I did not understand English when I moved here. I lived literally with the dictionary. I would go through a dictionary translating what I was talking. So that always stuck with me because people sometimes take for granted and they speak a language, but they don't understand that not everybody speaks their language. So coming from that, I always make it a point, is this understandable enough? I'm not here to win a Pulitzer or Nobel Prize for literature or writing a recipe. I'm here to have people follow and do my recipes. So how simple is that? Because I remember my challenges when I was trying to learn English, how hard it was. And when people speak like so fast and never slow down. And as French, we do that too. I totally get it. But when you learn a third language, it's very hard. So it's like, those people, they're trying their best. So why don't make life easy for them to read and understand? Same thing when I speak, I always try to slow down a lot my speech. Hard to do, but I try because there's always someone in the room who may not understand you fully. And therefore you need to cater to everyone. Sure,
Absolutely.
your parents will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also speak more than one language as well. But one thing that resonates with me is you want people to be able to follow you. In my work, recipe guidance is really a big thing that not everybody does well. And being able to feel like you're being guided along to success is probably why people really connect with your content, that they're not feeling like they're racing, trying to catch up, but you're really by their side. You're keeping up with their own, the pace that they have. They don't have to create or become something they're not. And I love when you said when they share their picture and your picture side by side, that's because your recipe has now become their signature dish and they're proud of that.
A lot of people play with their pictures on there. And there's one, Adobe is fabulous. But at the end of the day, it's like when you cook, you know that the tomatoes are not going to be that red, and then the spinach is not going to be that green when you cook. So there is a disconnect there, and that's a disconnect that I try so hard to stay away. Yes, my pictures are not the prettiest, trust me. I know. But I'm not here to be a photographer. I'm here to show the reality of what it is. And no playing with it, nothing, because I don't want someone to be turned off because their plate is not the same as mine. Yes, I put a little fruit on it once in a while, but I also say it's optional.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a difference between aspirational and reality. And I love that you say you want them to be encouraged, that they're on the right track. Because a lot of the triggers I think that happens in food from my own experience in cooking as well is it supposed to look like this? I'm not sure. And really answering those questions and being ahead of those types of thought processes of people following your recipes, I think is really key to using your own food story to help people with theirs.
what happened to me is when I first started cooking, I took a recipe from a very wonderful chef and I just made it and then I wrote on the blog. And I wrote the name of the book, the name of the publisher, but I forgot the name of the chef. So he sends me this nasty notes. And I say, terribly sorry, was an oversight of my part. So I did a retraction on my blog post, and I was very honored that he took the time to write to me. I didn't care if he was nasty about it. So I had his personal email, and I'm sitting there going, so why have you? I wanted to know how you got, I follow step by step, point by point, everything you say. But my pictures and my recipe didn't come out to be like yours. Why am I not doing correctly? You have all my pictures. His answers are, I don't know. I have food stylists doing that for me. And he hit me like a tons of bricks. That's what I don't want to do.
Makes sense. You want to be as connected to your followers' experiences as possible so that you can
Yes.
support them. You can support them if they have questions. So
Yeah.
how has the way you think about food changed as your audience has grown?
I don't try to make it complicated. I'm always reminding myself to go back to my core. Always. Every time I try to follow the trend or try to be a little bit of smarty pants over here, it reminds me to come back to my base. My base got me to where I'm at. The recipe that I was sharing at the beginning is where it got me where I'm at. So I always go back to that simplicity and always go back to what really got you started. Going back to your roots, go back to my roots. Yes, French cooking has evolved a lot. Yes, Italian cooking has evolved a lot. And so is American cooking for that matter. But at the end of the day, it's the basic and add a tiny little bit, not just kind of go off on the tangent here or get off on the tangent there. But I always go back to my base. Always.
So what's your relationship with technology like behind the scenes? Are you somebody that loves it, tolerates it, or just prefers to stay focused on the food? What's your take
Um,
on how technology's role?
the technology dropping is fabulous. I love the fact that you can just go on YouTube and just do something live. I love the fact that I can go live so I don't have to do editing. It's there, but it's raw, it's you. And same thing when I do my videos. I do record my video, do YouTube videos. I have all my things and I record my recipe, but I have a few key points. Nothing is scripted. Everything is natural, how it is. And even then I don't do any too much auditing because it's like it is reality of what happens in somebody's kitchen. I don't have the call of the trophy kitchen. I have an extremely old kitchen which everybody can relate to. And I love it. Yes, I would love to update it. Trust me. But at the end of the day, it will still be a small kitchen. I'm never going to change the footprint because I call it a one person's kitchen, one butt kitchen, and it stays that way. But I love technology. I love the fact that you can just record something. I could go live on TikTok or you Instagram and do a little thing. It's right now. It's you, true raw you doing what you need to do.
It's great that you're keeping up with what helps you to stay more connected with your followers in a way that's authentically yourself, because there's a lot of different emerging technologies and you don't have to do all of them, but
Yeah.
it's nice to, you can find something that helps you with your core mission and vision for your brand.
Yeah.
I have just one more question for you,
Yeah.
Giangi, before we close things up. If somebody handed you a plate of comfort right now, something that feels like home, what would be on that plate?
Oh, what would it be on that plate? Don't hate me for this. French fries.
I love French fries, Giangi.
Love French fries. Don't ask me why. A plate of French fries somehow with some mayonnaise and a lot of salt. Solves all the problems in the world in my book. But yeah, that's literally what I crave. That I crave salt, and that's the perfect. That they have to be dipped in mayonnaise. No ketchup. Matter of fact, I don't even have a bottle of ketchup in my house. Mayonnaise, fabulous.
I love that answer. That's a great way to wrap up a really amazing conversation. I feel like I like you even more than I did.
What?
I've learned so much about you, and it has really connected a lot of dots about the way you show up in the world from your recipes and on your platform and your messaging. It just all makes sense. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
joining me today to talk about your food story.
and thank you for the opportunity. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Giangi's story is such a beautiful reminder that food isn't just about technique or presentation, it's about presence, and she's certainly got a ton of it. It's about taking time to reconnect with yourself, to reflect, to create, and to heal. Giangi isn't just writing with intention for every reader or sharing a plate of rosemary potatoes that taste like home. She's showing us what it looks like to bring her heart into the kitchen and into the community around her. Thanks so much for listening to Your Friend in Food. If today's story reminded you of someone or a dish you almost forgot about, share this episode with them. You can subscribe anywhere where you find and listen to your podcasts. I'll be back with another story worth telling. Until then, I'm Sandy Markle, your friend in food.